Hi, here is Markku Wilenius, your traveling futurist. Now I'm gonna talk something about the work that I have done with my different clients. How have I been able to help and create value for my customers? Of course, we have to remember I'm not consultant by my nature. I'm more like a researcher, educator. That's where I have done my career. But also, increasingly, I have been working in this field of clients, whether it's about helping them to understand where their risks and challenges lie, or simply giving them some inspiration about what might come in the future and how they can be a part of that. So there are a number of things that I always focus on when I run this kind of a futurizing process in an organization. And the first part of that really comes from looking at the world. What are the driving forces? How do we understand how the future actually unfolds? How do we read the signals? How do we understand how the world operates? What are the key trends and trajectories? So this part is really understanding how the world operates and what it might bring to the future. And this is very important because for most people who look just the kind of own narrow sector and how it develops, do not perhaps look at the more broader picture of how the future unfolds. So you need to open up that future and help them to realize how actually complex system the world is and how to read that system. The second aspect of this type of the client work comes from understanding where you are as an organization, as a company right now. There are lots of companies and organizations that have a lot of traditions, have a lot of past, so to say, and they might think themselves as having a certain strength, maybe also certain weaknesses, but some of those ideas, some of those beliefs might be outdated and the old ones. Those are the types of actually issues that usually makes these organizations to fall behind and find themselves to be in the troubles. But it's hard for them to understand that these troubles actually emanate from false belief systems. And so you need to challenge those existing belief systems, and by challenging them, you come to realize what of those beliefs has some sort of a factual basis and what of those beliefs are simply just outdated and doesn't carry so much weight as the people in those organizations might think they do. So it's just a challenging the existing reality. The next is that when it is becoming clear what are the forces that are affecting the future and where are we now in reality, then it becomes more possible for us to build the kind of an idea of our organization in the future. So what is our vision? What is our mission? What type of the place we want to see this organization occupies in the future? And usually we think about this future that almost like it is today, just a little bit better. That's the way that we have been taught how these organizations and companies sort of operate and see their own future. But sometimes, and I would say today, more than sometimes, quite often actually, you need to have a radically different idea about the future. And that radically different idea does not only meet this kind of a more concrete strategies, but it also challenges the vision and the mission of the company altogether. So you need to revise that. You need to look at, okay, has our mission somehow changed because the society has changed, because the circumstances have changed, because of the context has changed, or is it still valid? It should be kind of an open question. But having these preceding steps by understanding the forces that shape our future and the reality as we have it now, help us to build also not only more realistic but also more ambitious goals that have some real grounding there. And that is what is the third step. And then thereafter, when we have defined this mission and this vision, we can start to look more closely, okay, what type of the strategies we need to be building. The strategies meaning that there are some milestones, there are some ways to move forward. And this type of this more strategic development phase has to be there in such a way that it also comprises what type of the know-hows and skills we need to have. This is something that companies often fail to think deep enough. So there is an idea that we can only fulfill our mission and vision, we can only fulfill our strategies if we have a certain know-hows and skills and mindset that enables us to do this stretch to the future. So it becomes then very important that you become a very concrete on what type of the skills are needed. And that is, as I said, something that many organizations fail to understand the importance of that. Now, when that is defined, then we can start to look actually what is the whole sort of development task. So what type of the new assets we need, what type of the new competencies we need, what are the types of the domains that we need to be kind of reaching to meet these ambitious goals and missions of our organization. And then when that is completed, then we go into more kind of piecemeal, step-by-step actions that we start to define. So there is a process there, and this process is about understanding how we humans actually work as systems, because any human organization is also the system, and within that system we need to have a sufficient amount of the feedback loops, we need to have an interaction, but we also need to have a direction. So if we don't have a direction, if it's not clear for people that are working in the organization, where are we actually heading? What is our goal? And how we as individuals are part of that goal? We are not really getting motivated. And this motivation arises in such a way that we are sort of a part of, and we feel that we are a part of defining that future for this organization. So that's why it's very important that we engage as much as possible people in the organizations once we are taking this kind of a more strategic move and thinking about our future and our role as a company. As you can see from this description, me as a futurist, I can bring quite a few things, helpful tools and methods and understanding and the framework for organizations to understand how they should lead their future. And because we know that in today's world, unlike in anything that happened in the past, the organizations of all kinds, even public organizations, become easily obsolete if they are not able to rejuvenate themselves, regenerate their purposes, their strategies, the way they work, the way they operate, the way they communicate. And it has to be a type of a constant process. And only through that constant process, they can be sort of assured that they are not the ones that are left behind with the outdated ideas about the future and with disengaged people. So this was, in a nutshell, a kind of idea what me as a futurist can bring on the table when organizations need to understand how their future is different to the type of the future that they have today. Subscribe to my channel and see other related videos and learn more about the future.